dripping coffee, drip coffee, cold brew, drip coffee, dripping coffee, drip coffee. What's up, y'all? Here we are reshooting episode one for the third time, just because life be lifing. But happy Saturday, y'all. Well, when y'all watch it, it won't be Saturday. It'll be whatever day it is that you guys are watching this. But for me, it's Saturday. Welcome to Struggle Moments. It's a good name, isn't it? But it's a struggle moments. Your boy J Prime or JM or James Morgan. For those who don't know me, I'm from the Bay Area, California, Richmond to be exact. I was born in 1993. You know what I'm saying? October 10th. I'm a Libra. I like long walks on the beach if there's a beach near. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a storyteller. I'm overall creative. Um, but I'm also a dude who walks through life with emotional and mental trauma. And this is a series more than it's not like a podcast or a show. A lot of us know what mental health is nowadays. The world's a lot more lenient and understanding and open-minded when it comes to these conversations. But it's different to kind of hear it from like, hey, this is what my day-to-day life looks like. So I call it struggle moments because these are things that actually I struggle with, and hopefully, throughout that, we can probably find some camaraderie, some relatability, through my transparency and vulnerability. Maybe some of you guys could be encouraged to keep moving or find different ways to kind of go through life, to not let your depression or your anxiety stop you from truly living, which I go through on a regular basis. People in my family go through, like my close family as well, and I don't want that to take over anybody's life. If there's anything I can do to help you guys fight through your own, mental health and emotional trauma, I will do so. And if that means I have to be vulnerable and expose my own trauma to you guys, I am more than willing to do that. So welcome to the struggle. It's sadly more of a common struggle than most people will kind of assume, um, but it's a struggle nonetheless. A lot of people tend to, and I don't know why they do this, especially in the black community. Because, like I said before, the world is more understanding and open minded about things like this, but still in the black community, there's still a huge stigma about stuff like this. Even to the point where sometimes they'll admit that it exists, but they won't admit it for themselves. Like they'll be so hard pressed to not put that label on themselves because for some reason they think they're being victimized or victimizing themselves. But in reality, they're not. They're only hurting themselves. What do I mean by that? I mean, for instance, I was having a conversation with this dude at my sister's house. Really cool dude. Real cool dude. He's in the Nation of Islam, and like some of my siblings are in the Nation. I'm a Christian man, but that's neither here nor there. But we're just having a conversation. Cool dude. He's in school. He's about to finish up hopefully in the next year. And he has a lot of stuff that he wants to do. He's 26. I'm like a few years older than him, so I was like, maybe I can just give a little bit of game from my experience, and mostly just things I would tell you not to do to avoid that I have done. Um, but the way he was talking to me, his physical, like his body language, his verbal cadence, and the things he was telling me, like he was telling me he's trying to get more on a set schedule because it's really hard for him to accomplish or finish things if he doesn't have a set schedule. But he's been working on trying to get his schedule down for a few years now, and kind of just talking to him and sitting with him. I was kind of just like, hey man, it sounds like you may have, and I'm far be it for me to try to self-diagnose somebody. I'm not, or like diagnose somebody. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a mental health professional. I'm just a dude who is alive and who is, currently living through these things. So hopefully, I could, I have enough experience to have like to throw 2 cents out there for him. But I was like, hey, bro, you might have, you sound like you lean towards more like an ADHD kind of a mindset. Not to say that you have it, but the way you're talking to me and what you're saying to me, it sounds really familiar. As a person who struggles with that, myself. And he wasn't extremely dismissive of it. He was like, yeah, I could probably see that. Well, at first he wasn't, extremely dismissive of it. He was like, yeah, I could possibly see that. Like, oh, that's a possibility. But what he said is like, but I'm not going to claim that on myself. I don't want to put that, label. Ooh, excuse me, gross. I don't want to put that label on myself. Which I can understand to a certain extent. And we got in a cool conversation about it. Because the words he really used was he's like, "Yo, I don't want to become a victim or be trying to be like the whole woe is me or victimize myself." And I think that's such a weird stigma to have when it comes to, regardless if it's like a mental health issue or an emotional health issue, and both those things play into each other. But a lot of people, a lot of black people, a lot of black males will fight tooth and nail just to not admit that they have an issue, just so they don't seem like they're weak or not as strong as they should be, or they can't handle this, blah blah blah. um, and that didn't necessarily throw me back because I've had those conversations so many times. um, and it is harder to have those conversations with people who are um, with people who follow God. And being a person who does follow God, I kind of get their inclination. um, you know but the reality is you can't ignore what your body and your mind and your emotions and to be honest with you your soul is going through, and just pretend that you're going to be okay on the other side if you just have blinders on. You can't act like a horse with the blinders on the side and just go straight through it. That's not how you're going to get to a better place. You're going to trick yourself into thinking that you're better, but in reality you have the same issues. You just you button it up better, and you bottle it up better, actually, is really the better term. And as somebody who's gone through and is still going through grief, and sadness and trauma, I can tell you from firsthand experience that bottling up stuff, in the hopes that it'll just go away or that you'll just be better one day, is not reality. And not only is it not reality, it's 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 really a detriment to your own mental and spiritual, health. To be honest with you, you know what I mean? Because you try to bottle something up, you think you got it capped, and all you're doing is just adding more pressure in it. You know what I mean? It's coming up regardless. You think you put a cap on it and it's gonna stop? It's like, nah, it's gonna keep building up and building up till that cap's starting to loosen. The cap's gonna start to loose. And it's gonna keep building up till it starts to crack until it eventually poof explodes. Um, and I've been there, and thankfully my explosion wasn't a huge explosion. Thankfully I'm not in jail. Um, but it could very, it could have very easily come to that. Um, and I'll get into this a little later. But for those who don't know, if I had to tell you where my grief or like my trauma and stuff really stems from, it's from losing both my parents to cancer. Both my parents passed from cancer, 10 years apart, separate times in my life. But my mom was first in 2012 when I was 18, and my dad was more recent in 2021. Uh, when I just turned 29, I was 28 for the most part of him going through his cancer journey, and then I turned 29. Um, Wait, no, I was 28, so I turned 29 last year, and I'll be 30 in a few days. um, but there's a lot of emotional stuff that I really ignored when my mom passed away. I was numbing myself. I was going out drinking and smoking and partying and chasing women and blah blah blah, not realizing what I was doing was kind of just like numbing myself and kind of coasting through life. But then when my dad passed from cancer, um, I was a little bit more aware of the damage that I did to myself with not processing the emotions of my mom. But it was still hard. And I literally told myself, I was like, James, you can't do that again. You can't bottle this up and try to just go through our life. You're probably not going to survive that. You did it once in your life, and doing it again is not going to be good for your well-being. I literally told myself, like, bro, I don't think you're going to survive. Like, I don't think your mental state's going to be good if you don't, you know, process this. Um, and to, I processed it more than I did my mom's at first. I definitely cried a lot more. Um, I know there's a stigma, or I don't even know if I want to call it a stigma. It's an old adage. I suppose you could say not even an old adage, really. It's just there's an idea in the black community, the black male community, that you do not cry. And it's definitely in the male community in general, but I'd probably say more so in the black male community, where you either do not cry or you do not let your family members, let alone the women in your family, you don't let them see you cry. I remember my dad told me that when I was very young at my uncle's funeral. My sister and my mom were crying on the side, and I wasn't like teary at them, but my dad was just like, "Hey, be strong for them. Don't let them see you cry." The only thing is, my dad didn't have that follow up conversation with me saying like, "Hey, it's okay to cry. It's just in certain moments you need to be strong for other people." And that message kind of gets like lost in translation when it comes to being men. But when it came to my dad dying, I did more crying at the time, but I was still bottling it up. Just because I realized it was wasn't a smart thing to do doesn't mean it made it easier for me not to do it. So I was a lot quicker to anger after my dad died. Uh, I was a lot more frustrated. Not to mention my depression and anxiety were at like an all-time high. Don't know why. After my pops passed, it was it, but my depression and anxiety was at an all-time high, and it's something I still do, with to this day. 2023, almost 2 years later. Um, but I was a lot, quicker to anger, and if you know me, and if you know me for years, people who know me since I was like a kid, I'm like the most nonchalant dude ever. Like, it's real hard to get like a visceral reaction out of me, or at least it was. Um, I I let stuff roll off the shoulder so easy, bro, and just go out, go with the rest of my life like nothing happened, like I really didn't. You really couldn't press me, bro. Um, Now though, and after my pops passed, it was the opposite, you know. And I got to a point where I got in trouble at my job and I got fired. Um, and in hindsight, there was, both sides definitely played a part in me losing my job. But I got in an argument with over, with my manager. I still stand to this day that I had a point. Um, the thing was, it wasn't the place or the time. Um, and as much as that person did kind of prompt my reaction that they got from me, as a grown man, it makes no sense that I even would have given that reaction in the first place. And I don't say that as like, hey, you're a grown man, you do, it's not a bottle up your emotions. It's just like, hey, let's just look at it practically for what it is. And then if you want to have that conversation, let's have that conversation at another time. You couldn't tell me that then, though. I was kind of in it. My emotions were high. I was a little angry. And I ended up getting fired from a job that was definitely helping me pay all my bills. um, and I learned, I have to be better emotionally. I almost immediately knew. I was like, dang, James, you're not okay right now. Like, you probably really should, do some, one, find a therapist, which I'm still in the search for right now. I'll let you guys know how that goes. But two, you really got to confront this grief and sadness that you're not, confronting. Because for some reason, I don't know why, sadness is like the one thing that'll lead to anger real quick. If you're not processing it or you're not acknowledging that it's there. If you don't let yourself cry, if you don't let yourself grieve, if you don't let yourself be sad, and you try to bottle it up with drinking and partying and smoking, or literally, you don't even gotta be substance abuse. It could just be you going to work. It could be you working out. It could be you just going about your normal life without actually handling the stuff you need to handle when it comes to your emotions. That sadness is real quick to turn to anger and frustration, and if you don't check it, um, it's gonna check you, and you're not gonna like it when it does. And I try to tell people all the time, it's like, hey, if you don't if you don't take the time at your body's trying to warn you about stuff. Your body's constantly saying like, hey, you need a break. Hey, you need to cry. Hey, you need to go exert some energy. Hey, you need to go hang out with people. Something. And if you continue to ignore what your mind is telling you, what your body's been telling you, it's going to take that time for itself, without your permission. And when it does it that way, you're not going to be happy because the results are going to be something you didn't want. And in my case, the results was me getting fired from one of my jobs. Um, and I don't mind me saying that. That's just, it's a fact of life. It is what it is. I played a part in that, and that's the results that happened. But to go back to the conversation with this dude I was having, I was like, hey, man, that's cool if you decide that if you don't want to put that on yourself because you think there's a stigma behind it. But here's the reality of it, bro. You can continue to ignore how your brain actually works and continue to go for another 4 years not being able to really help yourself in getting like a schedule down, and you can repeat the same mistakes over and over again, or you can realize that your brain works that way and then know how to work around that. I really broke it down to him like this. I was like, hey bro, if you're playing chess against somebody and you're neurodivergent, ADHD, autistic, whatever you want to call it, they're neurodivergent versus somebody who's neurotypical. That person who's neurotypical on the other side of their board, they have all their pieces. They got their queens, they got their rooks, got their pawns. Sorry, they got the queen, rooks, pawns, blah, blah, blah. You have all your pieces, except you're missing two rooks. Now, if you want to go through and play that game acting like you got those two rooks, good luck to you. You about to learn real quick that's not the reality. But if you take a second and be like, oh, I'm missing my two rooks, you can understand how you should play that game. And I think the problem that he had And I think a problem a lot of people have when it comes to admitting emotional and mental trauma that they're going through. Um, and a lot of people who try to call, like, people who are accepting of these things snowflakes or whatever. Um, the thing is, there's two ways you should go about accepting the fact that your brain works a certain way, or accepting the fact that you have these traumas. And there are, and in reality, there are two people who do it. There is the person who is the woe is me person, who's going to look at that chessboard, notice that they are missing two rooks, and be like, damn, I can never play this game. This is why stuff's not working out for me. I can't do anything about it. Woe is me. Or you can go the other way, which I think is the more healthy route, is like, dang, I'm missing two rooks. Now I know how to play this game. Man. Instead of me sitting back saying, like, yo, I can't do this, it's like, oh, now I know why it's hard for me to do this. Now I know what to research and how to, the things I need to instill in myself, the certain discipline I need to have when it comes to, finding these new ways to get things done. Now I know what I need to do. And when I broke it down to him like that, he was like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense, you know, because it does. It doesn't matter what thing you're doing in life. It doesn't matter if you're an athlete. It doesn't matter if you're a scholar. It doesn't matter if you're an engineer. It doesn't matter if you're an artist, a singer. It doesn't matter. So in order to get from point A to point B, there's things you have to realize about yourself, like what your work ethic is. Let's say you're a singer. Let's say whatever. You know that you have to be diligently writing. You know that you have to be diligently training your voice. And if you know for a fact that you're kind of like lazy on certain things, um, and you can go two ways about it. Either just letting that laziness take over you, or you can be like, all right, cool. I know I'm lazy in the morning. Let me train myself to be less lazy. Let me give myself certain things in the morning to do so I can actually get up throughout my day. Let me turn my lights on. Let me turn some music on. Let me go work out in the morning. You know what I mean? There's things that you can do to help yourself push through these situations. And it's just like, like I don't know exactly what I'm quoting here, but it's like the either the process of grief or just getting past stuff. Like the first thing is always acceptance. Um, like addicts, bro. You can't, what I mean. You can't expect somebody who's a drug addict to be better if they can't accept the fact that they're a drug addict in the first place. We've seen those people. I know a lot. Same thing with people who are alcoholics. People seen that in their family. We know what it looks like when people clearly have an issue that they're not confronting, they're not being honest with themselves about, and we see how the destructive patterns that follow it. Um, and for me, I don't want to be that person. You know what I mean? I want to eventually, have find a wife, a life partner. I want to have kids, and I can't and won't do those things if I don't take care of the things I need to take care of for myself first. I refuse to bring somebody else in my life with all this, like stuff that I have to go through. And that doesn't mean like when I meet that person, I'm gonna be 100% cool because I'm probably not. I'm still gonna be doing that work, but I'm not gonna be sitting there knowing that there's work needed to be done on myself to be a better person, the man I need to be, and not do it while I'm trying to like be with somebody else. That doesn't make any sense. Or while I'm trying to raise children, you're gonna end up just like instilling those things into your kids. You're gonna build a wall between you and your significant other, and it just doesn't make sense. So we're here to heal and open up, be transparent, be vulnerable. We're here to share the things that we go through personally, and we're here to encourage each other. That's it. But first things first is you if you're somebody who's out there who has that stigma, you're gonna have to drop that one real quick. For yourself, not even for other people, bro. Just for you. If you want to be the man that you think you are, or the woman that you think you are, the first thing you got to do is be like, hey, I got these issues that I need to deal with, um, and nobody else is gonna deal with them except for me. And you can't do that if you're over here acting like these things don't exist or acting like you don't have an issue. It's not gonna work out. So yeah, hope that makes sense. um, but yeah, like I said, man, this is a healing journey that I'm walking you guys through, and I hope that I can encourage you guys. I hope that I can help you guys out. I hope that you guys can encourage me as well, help me out. And once again, I am not a medical professional. I am not a mental health specialist in any way, shape, or form, or by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just a human being going through human being things who is willing to share the things that he struggles with you guys. So yeah, once again, welcome to the struggle. I'm gonna have some struggle merch later on. I probably gonna post this on my birthday, so by the time you guys see this, I will be 30 years old. So, cheers to that. I'm excited. I like life. It's also fall. I'm a fall baby. Clearly because my birthday's in October, so I love the fall. I just started drinking coffee recently, but I like a nice something hot in the mug. That's pretty cool. Not the biggest pumpkin spice fan, um, but I probably will partake in one or two pumpkin spice lattes. Maybe even a pumpkin spice pastry, if you will. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all later. Peace.